This is a cool article and a nice development. Indian tribe plans to open North Carolina's first marijuana dispensary on 4/20. Now, before we get into this article, do me a huge favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps the algorithm because pages about cannabis and controlled substances are suppressed and shadow banned. So do us a favor, and for the whole community, like, share, and subscribe this video. Appreciate you. Let's get into it. Following last year's decision by members of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians to legalize cannabis for adult use, the tribe has set a target date to open retail sales April 20th, 2024. If all goes as planned, the launch will mark the first ever legal marijuana sales within the borders of North Carolina. Now, North Carolina is still a prohibition state. It is not legal as of right now. It's the national cannabis holiday, right? Lee Griffin, Human Resources Director for the tribe's business, said of the 4/20 start date during an ECBI trial council work session. Across the country, it's the biggest revenue date annually for cannabis. And I will say, every time I was working at the dispensary on 4/20, not only did we make so much money that the owners had enough to give us a bonus, but in tips, I was walking away with around $200 for that day. For that day. It was crazy. It really is the holiday of holidays. The retail store, located on the tribe's 57,000-acre Qualla boundary, will be open to any adult 21 and older, regardless of trial membership. Just like you can kind of go to a casino at the Indian lands as long as you're over 21. That'd be great. I'm definitely going to visit that as soon as I go back to North Carolina. Members of the tribe voted last September to legalize and regulate adult use sales, approving a ballot measure 70 to 30%. 2 years earlier, 2021, Qualla Boundary became the first place in North Carolina where medical marijuana was legal after the tribal council adopted a regulated system. Registration from the program opened to all North Carolina residents this past June, and in October, the tribe issued its first round of medical marijuana cards. At this week's tribal council meeting, Griffin said that about 1,400 people have already applied for cannabis-related jobs through Qualla, though Qualla Enterprises aims to hire just over 350. Currently, the business employs 69 employees. So they're going to go from 69 employees to 350. That's a lot. Imagine that at scale in the entire country. A lot of people out of work. Here's new jobs. There you go. Great thinking. Ahead of last year's legalization vote, Qualla Enterprises published an op-ed in the tribal newspaper, Cherokee One Feather, championing the benefits of adult use sales. It compared the opportunity to when, quote, 30 years ago, the Cherokee people decided to build a casino, end quote. That was highly controversial at the time, in part because nowhere in the surrounding region allowed gaming. But we weren't afraid to be different. Harrah's Cherokee Casino has benefited this tribe and its members in more ways than we can ever imagine. The bulk of new jobs created by the policy change, according to the company, would be filled by enrolled ECBI members. In the medical system, as of last year, 84% of cultivation employees were tribal members, which represents the highest of any business owned by the tribe. No pun intended. The op-ed also pointed to a statewide poll that found 73% of North Carolina residents support legal medical marijuana. And North Carolina is a red state. Blue cities, but red state. It cited estimates suggesting the state's illicit cannabis activity amounted to nearly $3.2 billion. So that's $3.2 billion in sales the government could have with tax dollars if they medical or legalized it. What are you doing? A more recent survey of North Carolinians conducted by the Meredith poll and published last month found 78% support for lawmakers to pass medical marijuana bill this year. This year, 78%. Almost 8 out of 10 people. It's getting nonsense out here. It's getting ridiculous. We overwhelmingly support it. Just do it. The tribe's move to legalize, despite North Carolina's ongoing prohibition on marijuana, drew criticism from some politicians. I'm guessing they're Republicans. Yep, including U.S. Rep. Chuck Edwards. Ahead of the election, Edwards, who is not native, authored an op-ed in Cherokee One Feather warning that legalization on the tribal land would be irresponsible, and I intend to stop it. Now, hey, props to the tribe for actually publishing that op-ed instead of suppressing opposition opinions. So there you go. Freedom of speech. The congressman also filed a bill in the U.S. House that would slash a portion of federal funding from tribes and states that legalize marijuana. I don't know the details of that, so can't comment. Then Principal Chief Richard G. Sneed called the move a big misstep at the time. He told Marijuana Moment that he believed pushback from Edwards and others may have emboldened tribal members to support the measure. The worst thing that a non-Indian elected official can do is tell a sovereign, federally recognized Indian tribe how they ought to handle their business. Hear, hear. Fully agree with that. And for the matter, anyone telling anyone else how to live their life should go pound sand. That's just my opinion. Marijuana legalization on the koala boundary is expected to eventually bring in millions of dollars in revenue for the tribe. If adult use were legalized, revenue could conservatively reach $385 million in the first year and exceed $800 million by year 5. That's almost $1 billion in 5 years. That's crazy. That's astronomical growth, exponential growth, and we're living in the exponential age. Tribal governments in a handful of U.S. states have entered the marijuana business as more jurisdictions legalize. Notably in Minnesota, lawmakers passed an adult use marijuana program last year. Tribes are leading the way. Minnesota's cannabis law allows tribes within the state to open businesses before the state itself begins licensing retailers. Some tribal governments, Red Lake Band of Chippewa Indians and White Earth Nation, and the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, I'm sorry, I think I pronounced that right, have already entered the legal market. It's believed that in 2020, the Oglala Sioux tribe, located in South Dakota, became the first tribe to vote legalizing marijuana within a U.S. state where the plant remained illegal. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, a state judge recently declared anyone who has the odor of marijuana will be barred from entering North Carolina Supreme Courts. That's just, okay, yeah, duh. You can't come in here if you smell like weed. Yikes. I don't even know what to say about that. The order from senior resident, besides that's discrimination, I guess it is illegal in that state, but whatever. The order from senior resident Superior Court Judge James Gregory Bell said the smelling like cannabis is grounds for removal from the courthouse, and the sheriff will be directed to ask you to leave and come back without the odor. Go change your shirt. Then we can have court and sentence you to prison. Blows my mind. But this is great. Native tribes legalizing marijuana. There is a lot of drug use on reservations. They govern themselves. So this is really cool. Congrats. I can't wait to go back to North Carolina and go visit. This is awesome. Big fan of the indigenous culture and way of life. It really fascinates me historically, culturally, and everything. That's why I have long hair. I really appreciate the connection of hair and the earth and the plant. And this is about plants at the end of the day. So congrats to the tribe. And hopefully I can make it there for 420 for the opening. If not, I'm sure it will be a smashing success. And until next time, stay blessed and don't forget to tip your butt tenders.